What's up, One Church? Good to see you all. I want to welcome everybody here in Gahanna, everybody in Northwest Columbus. We love you, everybody watching online. So thankful to have you here today. Hey, before I jump in the message, I want to give you an opportunity to really apply the things we've been talking about. We've been saying as a church, man, it's really critical that we as the body of Christ not only talk about the things Jesus talked about, but we do the things Jesus did. And Jesus was present in the community. Jesus was building relationships. Jesus was meeting needs. And so we shared a couple weeks ago that we're going to be doing this event here in our Gahanna campus. And we're going to be actually serving with one of the foster care agencies in our city and throwing a party for these families at Christmas time. And through our Connect groups, we've been able to adopt each of those children for a Christmas present. In fact, they have like these handwritten Christmas wishes and everything. And so our Connect groups are going to be buying those gifts and setting those families up for success, and then we're going to serve. So we announced that 2 weeks ago. We were able to get all of that taken care of. We had the full sign up for the event that day, and we realized that we have a lot more horsepower happening here at the church to be even more effective. So we called a meeting with the woman that's over children's services for our county, and we said, hey, we want to do more. What can we do? And she said, well, if you want to reach the most underserved segment of the foster care population, she said it's actually the teenagers. She said Christmas time, people usually will come along and they love to buy toys for little children and everything, and so the kids usually really get the hookup, but it's the teenagers that really don't get much because teenagers can be sort of difficult to buy for and all that kind of thing. And they also said, but teenagers are the ones that are really need the love. I mean, think about the fact you're 12 to 18 years old, and you're really coming to the realization that your parents are not in the picture. And so they said, to be able to bless them would be tremendous. So we said, we want to do it. What do? They said, well, if you buy like $25 gift cards to Amazon, they can get what they want. If you get $25 gift cards to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or, something like that, like a fast food, they go out with their friends, they can get what they want. And so we said, well, how many of these kids are there in our county? And there are 775 kids from the age 12 to 18 in our county. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think every single one of them should get a card, should get a handwritten card, and should get at least one $25 gift card from the body of Jesus. All right? So here's what we're going to do. Starting next Sunday, we're going to have a table in the lobby. There's a few ways you can partner. One, you can just buy a $25 gift card, and we'll get it to them. The second thing you can do is you can write handwritten cards. 775, we got to write. And so there's a bunch. So, all right, so if you're good at that, you can do that. You can't give your personal information and all that type of thing, but you can write it. And it's actually going to come from One Church to them, so they know that this is coming from the body of Christ. And then I'll say this. If you look at kind of the hard numbers of the church, we have over 2,000 people that are coming on the weekends of both campuses, Northwest and Gahanna. But that represents less than 775 families. So that's like everyone. That doesn't count families. So this is going to take all hands on deck. And it's going to take a few that are willing to go above and beyond. And that means you might, whether you're willing to buy two yourself, or what I think would be even better is if we reach outside into our relationships and recruit someone that would help a kid as well, right? So I think you probably go knock on your neighbor's door, let them know what you're doing. I think you could go to your coworker or your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law, your friend, like somebody that you know, and just say, come on, like let's do this. $25 is going to go in a card. It's going to be handwritten. They're going to be able to receive it at Christmas. So I just want to invite you to be a part of that. That will be starting next week. It goes November 23rd through December 15th. All right, starting next week. All right, we're in a series called The Goat. The goat means greatest of all time. Jesus was the goat of goats. He was the greatest of all time. And he tells this parable in Matthew 25. And he says, at the end of days, I'll separate the sheep from the goats. And actually, in his parable, the goat's the one you kind of don't want to be. It's the one that was stubborn and did not follow what the shepherd was telling him to do. It was actually the sheep, the ones that were obedient. And he said, well, how will I know the difference? And he said, I'll know what's happening on the inside based on how it translates to the outside. He's not saying that we're saved by works. He's not saying that we can earn our salvation. What he's saying is that when something happens inside of you, when you really understand grace, and when you really understand forgiveness, and you really understand who you were when Jesus found you and what Jesus did, it should play out in terms of how you relate to the world around you. So he said, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was naked, you gave me clothing. I was a stranger, you took me in. And he's naming these very practical things. And really, frankly, I mean, the $25 gift card, the handwritten note, when you've done it to anyone, you're doing it unto him. And it's our way of, in our day, doing the things that we can do through Convoy of Hope, through Compassion's Way, and through this initiative with the foster families at Christmas to do what Jesus has called us to do. In Matthew 25, there's a trifecta of parables that Jesus tells, 3 of them in a row. And it's important to understand that he wrote them sequentially and he wrote them in tandem so that, because they all kind of work together. And so I'm going to kind of talk through those 3 today. And but before I do, I want to write a word on the board. And the word is decisions. Decisions. Anybody in the house facing a big decision? Got a big decision? Big decision. Anybody ever made a bad decision? Anybody? Okay. We've all made bad decisions. If you think about really your life is a compilation of decisions. We really, throughout life, we make decisions and all those decisions end up leading to where we are. And it's important that over time we become better at decision making. We can't beat ourselves up for all the bad ones because we're going to make them as part of life. You make bad decisions for a few reasons. Sometimes we make bad decisions because our judgment was off. If I knew then what I knew then, I'd do the same thing. But my judgment was off. I didn't really know how to read people yet, or I didn't understand the situation. I was a rookie. I came into the environment and I didn't read it well, and my judgment was off. Sometimes we make bad decisions because our willpower was weak. I knew better. I knew it was a bad decision before I made it. I knew it was a bad decision while I was making it. I knew it was a bad decision after I made it. It was a bad decision, but my willpower was weak, and I made it. Sometimes we make bad decisions because our perspective is off. Our perspective is off. We become short-sighted. We lose sight of the big picture. It's the 4th quarter, and there's 8 seconds left, and we're winning 21-7, and somebody tries to pull our helmet off, and we become very angry about that. So we pull their helmet off, and then we hit them with it over the head, and it was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you thinking about? Like, and even he gets to the press conference, and he's like, that was a bad decision. He knew it was a bad decision. His perspective was off. By the way, Miles Garrett, we love you, bro. It's okay to not be okay. I understand you have Sundays free. Come join us at One Church in Columbus. Come join us. We love you, bro. Save you a seat. I ain't judging you. I'm not judging you. There's a few people who are lucky I didn't have a helmet in my hand when I was walking through life with them. I'll tell you. I think I'm playing. I know you feel the same way. You're like, man, if I'd had a helmet, boy, I would have. Okay. Anyway, that's not what the sermon's about, but decisions. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, man, what are the important decisions you made throughout your life to kind of get to where you're at right now in your life? And I thought back, I'm like, I traced it back. I can trace where I'm at today in every way, as a husband, as a father, as a pastor, as a man, like all this stuff. I can trace it back to a decision my parents made when I was about 8 years old. When I was about 8 years old, I played Little League. And I was playing Little League, and I didn't like my coach. And we got halfway through the season, and I wasn't playing very good, and he sat me on the bench. And I got very mad about that. And I was like, this team's stupid. This game's stupid. My coach is stupid. He's mean. He's awful. I want to quit. And my parents said, well, no, you're not going to quit. If you start something, you're going to finish it. You're going to fulfill what you set out to do because you're a Ford, and in our Ford family, we're finishers. Now, next year, if you don't want to play when you're 9, that's fine. You don't have to play. That's a new season, but you're going to finish this season. So I finished the season, turned 9. Greg, you want to play Little League again? Yeah, you better believe it. Greg, you're not going to quit. If you get halfway through the season, your coach is an idiot, you're not going to quit. I'm like, guys, I'm 9 now. I've come a long way. I'm pretty much grown. And I want to play again. So I signed up to play. Halfway through the season, turns out I had another idiot coach. I want to quit again. I want to quit. Dad's like, bro, we already had this conversation. We've already talked about this. We crossed this bridge. You start it, you're going to finish it. That's what we were forwards, man. That's what we do. We finish what we started. If you don't want to play next season, that's fine. So I finished the season, 10 years old. Greg, you want to play again? Yeah, I want to play again. Halfway through the season, I wanted to quit, but I didn't even bring it up. I already knew the answer. We've been down this road. If you start it, you're going to finish it. And that created in me a mentality of character that when it's tough, I'm going to see it through to what I signed up for. I'm going to take it all the way so I fulfill the purpose of what I showed up to do. If my parents had let me quit at age 8, I probably would have been quitting all my life. Probably would have quit on some relationships. I probably would have quit on some opportunities. I probably wouldn't have had the tenacity to see it all the way through. But so I can trace it all the way till now. Immature decisions are based on chasing feelings. Chasing feelings. And I'm going to say even sometimes chasing feelings, specific feelings, oftentimes chasing feelings of fulfillment. Okay? A lot of times people think they want to do something fulfilling, but really what they want to do is feel. They want it to feel fulfilling. They want it to actually be fulfilling. I want it to feel fulfilling. This is why if you're single and lonely, you're prone to really want to jump into a relationship, not because I really want to put in the work that a relationship requires, and I want to weather through the tough things, and I actually want to go through. I just want to feel fulfilled. And so I look at my friends look fulfilled. They look really happy on date night, and their social media is just so cute, and it's so wonderful, and I just that looks fulfilling. Sometimes people do this with children. Oh, yeah, look at that couple. They just look so, now they've got, and and it's, I don't even know how to do it. And it's like, oh, I want to do that. Like, that looks so fulfilling. And then we got the baby and everything. It's like, I want to, I want to be able to do this. But then what happens is you have the child, and it does not feel fulfilling. It does not feel fulfilling. This is why we do child dedications. And we're like, just give them back to the Lord. Just give them back. Does not feel fulfilling. This happens in ministry a lot of times. People go on a mission trip or they do something for the church and they're like, go on a mission trip to the Philippines or Guatemala or Paraguay. They go and they're just helping people. It feels so fulfilling, man. I go into this impoverished area and I'm helping somebody. I'm doing this thing. It feels really good. And then all of them start to fantasize about going on the mission field or working for the church or whatever. And then, if you did and you came, you'd find out real quick that it doesn't always feel fulfilling. It's work. It's difficult. It's hard. I have people a lot of times, we'll have some big weekend, Easter, 45 services, thousands of people came. And it's like up there and after service, they're like, that was so cool. That was so great. Wasn't that fun? I'm like, no. It wasn't fun. I wouldn't call it fun. It was awesome. It was wonderful. But it wasn't fun. I was working. I was doing something different than chasing a feeling. I was doing the more mature response, and the mature response isn't chasing feelings. It's actually fulfilling my purpose. Fulfilling my purpose. And the bad news in this is that you can actually be fulfilling your purpose and not feeling fulfilled. You can be tremendously successful at the purpose that God has given you and be doing a great job at it and not feel this euphoric feeling of, I feel so full and I feel so fulfilled and it feels so great. No, it feels like work. And so I've got to have something. If I'm going to be mature and you're going to be mature, I have to have something that's influencing my decisions, that's in the crosshairs of what I'm working toward. What am I going for? that is deeper than just me chasing feelings of fulfillment. Otherwise, I'll go from opportunity to opportunity, relationship to relationship. I'll abort mission, because my real mission is chasing fulfillment, feelings. And when it quits feeling this way, I'll trade it in for something else because I believe the myth that I'm gonna be able to sustain this feeling. I feel so full, I feel so good. No, that's a myth. That's a myth. You have to have something that's a true north for you that you look and go, this is my purpose, so it keeps me doing hard things when I don't feel like it. We're gonna see this in living color in January at the fitness center. Because people are looking at pictures of other people who are super fit. They go, oh, I just want to be fit. When you're looking at the picture and the feeling you think you would have if you could look in the mirror like that too. I just want to look good in Spanx, and it's just like the feeling that you get looking at that picture and photoshopping your head on it isn't near as fulfilling as when you're in the gym squatting your butt down parallel and coming back up at 5 a.m. Nobody wants to do that. Feelings of fulfillment are fleeting. What is your purpose? What will keep you doing hard things? What will cause you to be resilient? What will cause you to hang in there when you'd rather quit? If you don't know your purpose, you're in big trouble. Now, Jesus tells this trifecta of parables in Matthew 25. If you have your Bible, you can go there. The first parable, he talks about readiness. It's the parable of, if you have the King James, the 10 virgins. If you've got a different translation, it's the 10 bridesmaids. It's built around the wedding procedure and process in the Jewish culture, where the first step was engagement, where the fathers would come together and basically make a deal on behalf of the bride and the groom. The second was what was called betrothal, where the bride and the groom would come together and make commitments to one another and then wait approximately a year. After approximately a year, they'd have the actual wedding, and the groom would show up at an unannounced time, so they had to be ready. And so the bridesmaids in this parable, Jesus makes up 10 bridesmaids are waiting for the groom and all of his boys to show up so they can have this wedding. And they get out there and it's late and they don't know when he's gonna show up. And 5 of the 10 run out of oil in their lamps to be ready for him. And so they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Well, we gotta go buy more oil. So while they weren't ready, they weren't prepared, they went to go buy more oil. The groom shows up and they miss the party. The point is, you gotta be ready. You got to be ready. You never know when your time's going to come. You never know when your time's going to come on this earth. You never know when Jesus may come back. Like, we've got to stay ready. Last Sunday, after our last service, I went to my car and turned my phone on. I keep it on airplane mode during service. I turn it on, and I have a missed call from my friend's wife. And so I'm thinking, oh, no. I checked the message, and she let me know her husband did not wake up on Sunday morning. He's a friend of mine, 51 years old, super healthy guy. Met him at 5 a.m. at the fitness club. Awesome, amazing dude, influential guy. Just did not wake up. Probably, honestly, one of the last people I would have ever thought to not wake up. And so now his wife's devastated. His kids are devastated. His 2 sons, one's in college, one's in high school. I'm meeting with them. We're talking. And, when something like that happens, it creates certain feelings, fear, some of us anxiety, not to mention the pain of just the finality of, man, I didn't get to say one more goodbye. I wish I would have told him this. I wish I would have done that. There's all of that, but there's also many times for some the anxiety, the feelings around, oh, that could happen to me. But the reality is it will happen to you at some point. We know some things cognitively that we've not really accepted emotionally. We tend to live in like this denial around the fact that at some point you're not going to wake up. You're not. I'm not either. That's going to happen. We are mortal, and you get hit with this bucket of cold water to the face of mortality that we can either have it cause us to live in all anxiety, or we can say, wait a second, perspective. Perspective is my decisions in this life. Am I going to spend my life chasing one feeling after another, or am I going to really think truly long-term through the lens of eternity to actually look and go, there will be a day I don't wake up, and there will be a day I stand before God. And within that, Am I ready not only to meet him, but do I feel good about what I'm doing with my time, my energy, and my money through that lens? And in a certain way, there's a blessing even in that loss because it forces us to wrestle through that question. So as Jesus is giving us these three stories in Matthew 25 of the 10 bridesmaids and the parable of the talents and the sheep and the goats, the whole time he keeps saying, hey, the kingdom of heaven is like this. Hey, in the final days, it'll look like this. He's giving us like eternal mindset because he knows our propensity for being short-sighted. So he goes in and begins talking about the parable of the talents. And he says in verse 25, made up story, he says, the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another he gave 2, to another 1. To each according to his own ability, and immediately he went on the journey. Of course, context, we know that this wasn't the information age, so there was no way if you went to the other side of the world that you were going to be able to keep up on your business in real time. So he had to entrust his goods, his business, his livelihood, his resources to these people. It says one of them he gave 1, one of them he gave 2, one of them he gave 5 talents. Talents was a way of weighing. So the amount of this was dependent on a weight of what. If it was gold, it would have been worth something. Silver would have been worth something else. But he's giving them the quantity based on their ability. In verse 14, it says, the one who had received 5 went and traded them and made 5 more. And likewise, the one who received 2 gained 2 more. And the one who received 1 went and dug a hole in the ground and hid his Lord's money. Today, I've got a little thing to illustrate for us. And I think within this story, it kind of shows us 3 mindsets. One of them, he gives 1. Another one he gives 2. And then another one, he gives 5. All right, we get these 3 amounts. And in this story, we see the potential for 3 different mindsets that will affect our decisions and how we go about pursuing and fulfilling our purpose. The first mindset is the scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset we see in the man who received 1 talent. Of course, in the story, the master, the man that distributes the talents, is representative of God. And to the one, he gives 1. And so the guy gets 1 talent. And he buries it. The Bible says he buries it. He has a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is, I've only got 1, and if I lose it, I'll probably never get another one. A scarcity mindset is a faithless mindset. It's just not believing that God can provide what I need. It's fearful because if I take a risk or if I take a shot or if I really go for this and I lose this thing, if I lose this opportunity, I'll probably never get another opportunity. And so that scarcity mindset causes people to play very, very safe. It's also reveals another component. In fact, we see it in the conversation that when the master comes back from the trip and he goes to each one to see what kind of work they'd done, he goes to the first guy, he's like, hey, what do you got? And the guy with 1 says, well, I buried it in the ground because I wanted to protect it. And then he says to him, I knew you to be a hard man. I knew you were difficult. He goes, you reap where you didn't sow, and you're kind of a tough guy. And I was afraid, like, man, if I lost your 1 talent, that, it'd be gone. And I wouldn't have it, and I didn't want to lose your stuff. It's like, excuses. I mean, the guy buried the talent in the ground, did nothing with it, horrible steward, and yet he blames the guy that gave it to him. Oh, I knew you were kind of tough to work for. I knew you were kind of difficult, and I just, I didn't want to upset you, and I knew you. He says, bro, why are you putting it back on him? You were lazy. You buried it in the ground. And how often do we allow, we get something, maybe it doesn't feel like as much as them because we look down the lines like, oh, they got 2 and they got 5 and all I have is 1 and I'm worried, I'm afraid I'm faithless, I'm worried if I lose it, I'm not going to get another one. And then we find convenient excuses about everybody else. Well, you were a hard man. You're difficult. I'm in a tough environment. I'm in a difficult situation. If I lose this, I probably won't get it. And then he says something that betrays himself. Like he lacks self-awareness and clarity. But he says to him, I knew you to be a hard man. You reap where you didn't sow. If I'm the master come back from that trip, I'm like, well, if you knew I reap where I didn't sow, then you know I have enough. You know that it's all mine. I think it's all mine anyway. That if you lost that, if I reap where I didn't sow, that means I can take it from anywhere and give you more. But I'm not going to give it to somebody that just buries it in the ground. And a scarcity mindset will always play it safe and always make excuses. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both. And so they make an excuse, he's a hard man, and my boss is hard to work for, and I don't have as much as they do, and if I had that, I'd do more, and if I had that, I'd do a lot. But here I am over here with my one opportunity, so what am I going to do? I'm going to bury it. And when the master comes back, Jesus, is making the story up, he says, you wicked, lazy servant. You wicked, lazy servant. He said, give me this thing. I'm going to give it to one of these guys because they care enough to work. They don't take opportunity for granted. I was talking to a mentor recently, and I said, hey, I'm trying to do my best in this life, man. I realize, I'm not going to live forever, and I want to maximize what I have while I have it, and I want to, really honor God with my life. And I realize that part of that is me investing my life not only in things and in resources, but in people. I was like, I want to become selective because you only have 24 hours in a day, and, I only have so much time and energy, and I don't want to just waste it. I want to really invest myself into other people. But I'm trying to figure out, how do I even determine what's the right people to invest in? And my mentor said, Greg, here's what you want to do. He said, you want to give some people a little bit and then see what they do with it. He says, you don't want to invest yourself in people who take opportunity for granted. People they think they're so blessed and anointed that you give them one and they're, this is all you gave me? This is all you gave me? They're not even responsible with the one thing that you get. Like, if you can't take it from 1 to 2, I don't know if this is a good investment. Like why would you invest your money in a stock that just is not bringing a return? You wouldn't. You'd pull it out and put it in a different stock. This one's bringing a return. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to invest. So why would I be haphazard about my time and energy? Why would you? And the master says, look, the one that doesn't care enough is just going to bury it in the ground and walk away. He said, you're wicked and lazy. I'm not going to give you any more. I gave you one and you didn't do anything with it. So there's the scarcity mentality. There's worried you're going to lose something. It's faithless and it's lazy. But that's nobody in this room. They all come to a different service. The second mentality is the jealousy mentality. Jealousy. I'm trying to write sloppier so I'm more like a dude. The jealousy mentality. We are in danger of the jealousy mentality more than ever because we're so aware of what everyone's. I used to not know what other people ate for breakfast. I used to have no idea what size of coffee people had. I just didn't know. It's like, now I know. It's like, he's got a Trenta again. I didn't even know there was that. Like, now we just know I know everybody's doing. And so jealousy is, and the jealousy is just looking down and going, but I've only got 2, and this guy's got 5. But the reality is, on the other side of the guy with 5, there's some lady over here with 15. On the other side of her, there's somebody with 100. It says in the parable, Jesus said that the master gave each according to their ability. I'm going to give you the capacity that I think you can handle, but I want to see if you can handle it. And I want to see if you'll work hard enough while you have it to do something with it. It is a complete and total waste of time and an immature pursuit to sit around and spend your life worrying about what somebody else has. In fact, honestly, what you end up doing is right back to this. You start chasing feelings of fulfillment because what you're really doing is you're comparing your life to how fulfilled you think they are. You have no idea. You think they are. Instead of saying, what have I been given? I've been given 2. I didn't earn this too. I was given this too. Now I've got this too, and I'm gonna maximize it. You look like you work out. Come help me out. I want to be a good steward of what I have. Can you watch my form?
Drop your butt down.
Excuse me.
Drop your butt down.
Drop my butt down. Drop it like it's lukewarm. Is this right?
Yep.
What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. All right.
There you go.
Now what?
Now chest up.
Chest up.
Don't forget to breathe.
Okay, that hurts. Can you show me? Butt down, chest up. Okay, that looked easy. Give it a shot. Breathe.
Don't forget to breathe.
Oh,
All the way up.
what? Bro. Do you have a weight belt? Do you have a belt? Like a pants belt?
You want my belt?
Yeah, please. That's a good point. Do you know Eye of the Tiger? It's by Rocky Balboa. Can you whistle it or sing it or something? Or?
It's the eye of the tiger.
I can't hear you. Can we get a microphone? This is number 2. That was really inspirational. Can you do it as loud as you can?
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
It's the eye of the tiger. It's the king of the fight.
No, that actually worked the opposite. All right. All right, now, there's a lot of work. I got it once, but I want to be a good, so don't go too far. I want to have a stewardship mentality, which is I want to be faithful. I want to be responsible. I want to be generous. I want to get the most out of what I have. I can't worry about that. That's more and down there. I can't worry about that. This is the family God's given me. This is the opportunity God's given me. This is the job God's given me. This is the assignment that God's given me. And I want to be able to do more than just that. And one of the ways I worship God and I honor God is by maximizing it. What do I have to do to be able to do more than that?
Keep working at it. Try to do 5 reps.
5?
4.
4? I gotta tighten up my belt. Bro, how small is your waist, bro? 5. All right, here we go. Come on, baby. Hope I don't blow out my pants. I should have worn the spandex, the stretchy denim. Oh. How many is that? Let's go. Come on. All right. All right. The work. You work it. You work it. And when you work it, something that was once difficult, I didn't know how to do. It was at the edge of my capacity. Now I'm able to do it. And from there, then what? Then what? Then what? Now, I was able to get that. And it didn't just happen on its own. I had to work it. And now I work it. And he says, you know what? I'm going to take it from 2. I'm going to take it from 2 to 4. I'm going to double. I'm still not where that one is, but it doesn't matter. That's not my assignment. That's not my purpose. It didn't feel good. It was difficult. I was kind of feeling kind of lightheaded. I could use a drink, but I keep going. I keep working it. Here's the reality. You get to 2 to 4, and now I got to work the 4, and eventually I'll go from 4 to 8. But I'm always going to be at the edge. It's going to be difficult. It's not easy. In the parable of the talents, he writes it so fast. One guy buries his over here. Another guy goes from 2 to 4. Another guy goes from 5 to 10. And we just read it in like one verse. Well, like, what does it take to actually go from 2 to 4 in your life, in your skills, in your family? What does it look for you to go from 2 to 4 in your endeavors, in your work, and the opportunity God's put in front of you, developing the skills and continuing to show up and being fruitful and investing in the people around you and not spending your life looking way down the line, but doing what God's called you to do, what God's called you to do. And it's always going to be hard. You're never going to graduate. Like, we're not supposed to get to the place where I can just sit here and do this all day. Once I get to, okay, I've gone to the next level, then you throw another one on. And that's one of the ways that God says, look, good job. I'm going to give you some more. You've been faithful with a little bit. I'll give you more. Thanks a lot to my trainer there. Actually, why don't you take this? I don't want you to lose your, okay. Watch this. I end with this. Matthew 25, verse 21. The master comes back from his long trip. The one who had one, he said, you weren't faithful. You weren't a good steward. You had a scarcity mindset. You had a jealousy mindset. Then he goes to the one who had been given 5, who went from 5 to 10. And this is what it says in verse 19. After a long time, he came back to settle with his servants. And verse 20 says, so he went to the one who had received 5 talents, and he came back and said, hey, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I've gained 5 more talents besides them. I've doubled what I have. Now watch this. Next verse, verse 21. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in handling this small amount. I'll give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. That was to this guy in verse 21. The next verse, the man with 2 comes back and says, Master, you gave me 2. I worked like crazy. I didn't have the proper belt, but I played the hand I was dealt. I wore the belt that I was given, and I stayed with it, and I was tenacious, and I got some help, and I got some coaching, and I doubled it from 2 to 4. Verse 23, here's what the master says. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I'll give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. If those 2 verses look similar, it's because they are. They're the exact same thing. It is a literal copy and paste. The one who went from 5 to 10 didn't get any more affirmation from the master than the one that went from 2 to 4. Why? Because God's not impressed with how many talents you have. He's impressed by what you do with what he gave you. That's what matters. Don't worry about all this. Don't worry about all this. This is somebody else's problem. This is yours. This is your neck of the woods. This is your neighborhood. This is your team. This is your family. This is your responsibility. Be a good steward. Thank you, God. It's a gift from you. Every good and perfect gift comes from you. But I feel like I'm throwing my back out. Yeah, that's fine. It's a gift from God. Keep working at it. Keep grabbing the bar. Keep trying. But I couldn't get it today. Yeah, it's all right. Keep going for it. Keep doing the right thing. Keep showing up. Keep grabbing. Keep your back straight. Keep your butt down. Keep your chest up. Keep working it. You get there. This is well done, good and faithful servant. I'm out of time, so we go action steps fast. First thing is this. If you're honest enough to say, I've been given one talent over here, and I've had a scarcity mentality. I've had a jealousy mentality. And because of that, I have not been putting in a good effort. And I've not been showing up and doing my best. And all I've been doing is complaining about how bad the coach is. And all I've been doing is quitting on stuff and pulling the covers back over my head. And I just haven't been. Okay, you know what? You buried it. Dig it back up. Dig it up. It's in the ground. Go get a shovel and dig the thing back out. And go take it from 1 to 2. Be a good steward. Thank you, God, for giving me this one talent. Thank you for what you've given me. I'm not worried about that down there. That's their problem. You and them, you'll figure it out, and I'll be able to cheer them on, and I'll celebrate with them, but I'm going to concentrate on this. This is what I'm going to concentrate on. Dig your talent back out of the ground and start working it. And if you're here, and you might be tempted to look this way and have some jealousy mentality, just don't. Steward and hear the applause from heaven. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful a little bit. I'll give you more. Hey, let's celebrate together. I don't think we do a good enough job of celebrating a job well done, because most of us went from 2 to 4 and we're worried about the person that went from 5 to 10. Quit worrying about that. Hey, good job in what you're doing. Good job this week. Good job this year. Good job. Rejoice. Celebrate. Good job. Well done, good and faithful servant. And friend, I'll say this. I end with this, where we begin. Decisions. You got all kinds of decisions in front of you. We have the perspective that someday we won't wake up. We want to stay ready, like the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. I want to stay ready. I want to be ready. I want to be ready. I want to make decisions that lead me to readiness. And I'm going to stop chasing my feelings of fulfillment. I'm not going to try to do that. Feelings of fulfillment come and go. I'm going to actually fulfill my purpose. I'm going to make decisions accordingly. I'm not going to think scarcity. I'm not going to think if I lose it, I'll never get it back. I'm not going to think that God can't open up another door if one closes. I'm not going to live in jealousy, worrying about what everyone's doing. I'm going to be a steward, faithful, responsible, generous to what God has given me. I invite you to stand on your feet. And I'm going to invite our prayer team to come forward, and we're going to end this time with a moment of worship. And for those of you that are in this process, right, we're all somewhere in it. We've either buried or we're somewhere. In this moment, I want you to just make a commitment to God. Lord, I'm going to take what you give me and I'm going to steward it well. And I believe, Lord, that when I steward it well, when you want me to have more, you'll give me more. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to just be faithful with what you put in front of me, with what you put in my hand. And let's make a commitment here today to keep that as our focus and make those decisions.